Fake HOA called his metal leg. Disturbing, the town called him a hero. Karen ruled Cedar Hollow with a clipboard and a sneer. As HOA president, she was the self-appointed arbiter of perfection, her eagle eyes catching every infraction. A mailbox too bright, a shrub too wild. Her neighbors, cowed by her relentless fines and icy demeanor, rarely pushed back. But her latest target wasn't a lawn ornament or an unapproved paint color. It was Ethan, the quiet veteran who'd moved into the corner house 3 months ago, his prosthetic leg gleaming faintly as he walked his dog each evening. Disturbing, Karen muttered, watching Ethan from her porch. His metal prosthesis, sleek and unapologetic, offended her sense of order. Cedar Hollow was supposed to be flawless, a postcard of suburban bliss, and Ethan's disability, visible, unhidden, clashed with her vision. He never flaunted it, never spoke of it, but Karen noticed neighbors staring, kids whispering. Unacceptable, she thought. A man like that shouldn't be so conspicuous. She drafted a petition, her pen slashing across the page. Resident at 17 Oak Lane displays a prosthetic limb in a manner that disturbs community aesthetics. We demand he cover it in public. She posted it to the HOA's private Facebook group, expecting swift support. It's about standards, she wrote, not cruelty. To her surprise, comments were mixed. Some agreed, citing property values, but others pushed back. He's a veteran, one wrote. Leave him alone. Karen scoffed. Veteran or not, he was disrupting her perfect neighborhood. Undeterred, she circulated the petition door to door, her smile tight as she dismissed objections. It's for the good of Cedar Hollow, she insisted. By week's end, she had enough signatures to force a town hall meeting. The night arrived, the hall packed with murmuring residents. Karen stood at the podium, her voice dripping with authority. We have a right to a cohesive community image, she declared, gesturing toward Ethan, who sat in the back, his face unreadable. His condition is unsettling. It's not personal, it's policy. The room shifted uncomfortably. Ethan stood, his prosthetic leg catching the light. This leg is part of me, he said, his voice low but firm. I lost it serving this country. If it bothers you, that's your problem, not mine. A few clapped, but Karen smirked. Then cover it, she snapped. Or move. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A teenager in the front row, live streaming on X, caught every word. The clip, Karen's venom, Ethan's quiet defiance, exploded online. Tagged Nightshush Cedar Hollow shame. By morning, it had millions of views, with comments branding Karen a heartless bigot. The backlash was immediate. X erupted with the Durhas Justice for Ethan, strangers and veterans groups demanding Karen's ouster. Local news vans parked outside the town hall, interviewing outraged residents. He's a hero, one neighbor shouted. She's the disturbance. Karen, holed up at home, watched her phone light up with hate messages. Her petition, meant to uphold standards, had made her a national villain. She doubled down, posting to the HOA group. I'm protecting our image. He's the one causing drama. But the tide had turned. Even her loyalists went silent. 2 days later, the town hall reconvened, standing room only. Karen arrived, head high, but the air was electric with anger. Ethan sat up front, his prosthetic leg uncovered. A quiet challenge. The moderator introduced a surprise. Ethan's former comrades, 3 soldiers in dress uniforms, who'd flown in after seeing the viral video. Their leader, Captain Reyes, took the mic. Ethan was a bomb disposal tech, he said, his voice thick. He saved dozens of lives, including mine, until an IED took his leg. He's the bravest man I know. The screen lit up with footage, grainy, harrowing, from a helmet cam. Ethan, in combat gear, defused a bomb under gunfire, his hands steady as chaos raged. Seconds later, an explosion threw him back, his leg mangled. The crowd gasped, some weeping. Faces turned to Karen, their eyes burning with betrayal. She stood frozen, her clipboard useless, as the video looped, each frame dismantling her crusade. Her stomach churned. She'd called a hero disturbing, shamed a man who'd sacrificed everything, all because his survival didn't fit her aesthetic. Karen fled the hall, rain soaking her as she stumbled home. Alone, she replayed the video, Ethan's courage searing her conscience. She'd been wrong, catastrophically, unforgivably wrong. The shame was a physical ache, a reckoning she couldn't escape. The aftermath was brutal. By dawn, the HOA board had ousted Karen, their terse email citing irreparable damage to community trust. Her name vanished from newsletters, her legacy reduced to a cautionary tale. Neighbors who once groveled for her approval now turned away, their silence louder than any insult. The local coffee shop, where she'd held court over lattes, felt like enemy territory, baristas whispering as she passed. Karen's empire, built on petty rules and self-importance, lay in ruins. Online, the firestorm raged. X was a war zone, with an Cedar Hollow shame morphing into Your Honor Ethan, fueled by veterans groups, disability advocates, and outraged strangers. A viral thread compiled Karen's HOA infractions, fining a widow for a faded flag, threatening a family over a wheelchair ramp, exposing her as a bully long before Ethan. News outlets ran segments, neighbors calling her cruel and small-minded. A petition to bar her from community roles amassed thousands of signatures. Karen unplugged her router, but the hate messages, texts, emails, even voicemails, kept coming, each one a shard in her crumbling pride. The real pain, though, was internal. Alone in her pristine living room, Karen replayed the town hall, Ethan's steady voice, the video of his sacrifice. She'd seen his leg as a flaw, a blemish on her perfect Cedar Hollow, never considering the cost of it. He'd risked his life for others, lost a part of himself, and she'd called it disturbing. The word echoed in her mind, a verdict on her own character. Her late father, a man who'd taught her to look beyond the surface, would have been ashamed. She was ashamed. A week later, Cedar Hollow held a ceremony for Ethan. His comrades stayed, joined by local veterans, to present him with a framed commendation for his service. The town square overflowed, residents clapping as Ethan, reluctant but composed, accepted. Captain Reyes spoke, his voice breaking. Ethan never wanted a medal. He just wanted to live quietly. Shame on anyone who made that harder. The crowd roared, eyes darting to Karen's empty porch across the street. She watched from her window, curtains drawn, the applause a knife in her chest. The town's support for Ethan grew. Kids made him cards, businesses offered discounts, and the high school named a scholarship after him. Karen, meanwhile, became a ghost. Her lawn, once immaculate, sprouted weeds. Her mailbox overflowed with unopened letters. She avoided the square, the stairs too heavy, the whispers too sharp. But the isolation forced her to face herself. She judged Ethan by his appearance, not his actions, and the world had seen her ugliness. The weight of that truth was crushing, but it also sparked something, a faint resolve to change. Karen found a lifeline in a local veterans support group advertising a workshop on disability awareness. She hesitated, her ego bristling, but the memory of Ethan's courage pushed her to go. The room was small, filled with veterans and advocates, their stories raw and unfiltered. A woman with a prosthetic arm spoke of strangers' stares. A Vietnam vet described being called broken. Karen listened, her throat tight, seeing Ethan in every word. She didn't speak. She wasn't ready, but she returned the next week, and the next, absorbing lessons she'd never learned. She started volunteering at the group's outreach program, sorting donations, making calls, small tasks that felt like penance. She read about PTSD, about the sacrifices of bomb disposal techs, wincing at how little she'd understood. One day she wrote Ethan a letter, her hands trembling. "I was wrong to judge you," she wrote. "Your leg isn't disturbing. It's a testament to your bravery. I'm sorry, and I'm trying to be better." She didn't send it, unsure if she had the right, but the act of writing it grounded her. Cedar Hollow began to heal. Ethan, ever reserved, helped organize a community cleanup, his quiet leadership drawing people together. The HOA, under new management, repealed Karen's draconian rules, prioritizing inclusion. Karen saw the changes from afar, her exclusion a fair price for her actions. But she kept going, driven by a flicker of hope, not for redemption, but for growth. She'd lost everything, but in the losing, she'd found a truth her father once knew. Honor lies in seeing people, really seeing them, and kindness is the courage to act on it. Karen's transformation was a slow burn, forged in the quiet moments of self-reckoning. The Veterans Support Group became her refuge, a place where she could listen, learn, and chip away at the arrogance that had defined her. She sat through stories of resilience, veterans navigating prosthetics, civilians adapting to new realities, each one a reminder of Ethan's strength and her own failure. She started speaking up, hesitantly at first, sharing her shame about the petition, her voice shaking but honest. The group didn't absolve her, but they listened, and that was enough to keep her coming back. She took on more at the outreach program, driving veterans to appointments, organizing fundraisers, learning names and stories. She met a young woman who'd lost both legs to a car accident, her humor and grit humbling Karen. "People stare," the woman said, "but I'm still me. They'll get over it." Karen thought of Ethan, his unapologetic stride, and felt a pang of regret. She'd been one of those starers. Worse, she'd weaponized her discomfort. Now she wanted to understand, to see people as they were, not as her biases painted them. Karen made amends in small ways. She dropped off a pie for Mrs. Larson, a neighbor she'd once fined for a tacky birdhouse, with a note, "I was wrong to judge. Thank you for your kindness to Ethan." The pie plate came back empty, a quiet olive branch. She shoveled snow from a disabled veteran's driveway. No fanfare, just effort. She didn't expect forgiveness. Her actions had cut too deep. But she needed to show she'd changed, even if no one noticed. One day she sent the letter to Ethan. It was raw, written through tears. "Your leg is a badge of honor, not a disturbance," she wrote. "I was blind to your sacrifice, and I'm sorry. I'm working to be better, not for you to forgive me, but because it's right." She mailed it to the community center, unsure if he'd read it. A week later, a note arrived from Ethan, brief but kind. "I got your letter. Keep going. That's what matters." It wasn't reconciliation, but it was a spark of hope, a sign her efforts weren't invisible. Cedar Hollow evolved too. Ethan's ceremony had galvanized the town, inspiring inclusivity. The community center hosted accessibility workshops, the park got a wheelchair ramp, and the high school scholarship in Ethan's name grew. Ethan himself stayed reserved, but his quiet acts, coaching a youth soccer team, fixing a neighbor's fence, wove him into the town's fabric. The HOA, now led by a compassionate teacher, focused on unity, not control, a direct rebuke to Karen's reign. Karen stayed on the margins, no longer the town's dictator but a participant in its renewal. She volunteered at the community center, setting up chairs, serving coffee, her former allies watching cautiously. Some held grudges, their anger justified, but others thawed. Mrs. Larson invited her for tea, a gesture that left Karen speechless. "You're trying," Mrs. Larson said. "That's more than most." Karen clutched her cup, grateful for the chance to rebuild. The true test came at Cedar Hollow's annual Memorial Day picnic. Ethan was there, grilling hot dogs, his prosthetic leg catching the sunlight. Karen arrived with a tray of cupcakes, her heart racing. She hadn't faced the full town since the scandal, but she'd made the cupcakes, red, white, and blue for the veterans, and she owed it to herself to show up. She set them on the table, bracing for rejection, but a kid grabbed one and grinned. "Thanks, Miss Karen." A neighbor asked her to judge a pie contest. Small moments, but they felt like home. As the sun set, Ethan spoke to the crowd, his voice steady. "Today's about those who gave everything," he said, "but it's also about how we live, how we honor each other every day." His eyes met Karen's, not with judgment, but with acknowledgement. She felt tears well, not from guilt this time, but from gratitude, for his grace, for the town's slow forgiveness, for the chance to grow. He nodded, a faint smile, and she knew he saw her trying. Karen stayed for the fireworks, the sky exploding in bursts of light. She'd lost her power, her certainty, but she'd gained something enduring. Humility, forged in failure, tempered by kindness. Honor, she'd learned, wasn't in perfection or control. It was in accountability, in seeing people's worth, in choosing compassion over fear. She thought of Ethan's sacrifice, the town's resilience, Her father's lessons. She wasn't a hero. Ethan was, always would be. But she was becoming someone who could stand beside one. Her work wasn't done. Bias was a stubborn weed, but she'd keep pulling, keep learning, keep showing up. As the last firework faded, Karen walked home, her steps lighter, her heart fuller. She was no longer Cedar Hollow's queen, but she was its neighbor, and that was enough. The end.